Hi, it's Red-Headed Riding Hood, Red for short. I wanted to do a video on talking about narcissism again, and this lovely lady right here who Angie Atkinson passed away on Sunday, and I've been very sad and shocked. Pretty sure she's younger than me. I believe she's in her 40s. I don't know. But it was a breathing issue. And, it's sort of awakened, well, recently when I had the problem in van life community I was in, I unjoined some channels and I changed sort of my niche, maybe. And I knew I wasn't gonna be traveling full-time, living in my RV. My RV was a temporary solution while I tried to decide on a place to settle, and while I was waiting on money from my inheritance. So and when I unjoined some van life channels, I joined Angie's channel. Although I wasn't always over there watching all the videos anymore, I escaped from my narcissist because I got out of Georgia, which I really felt like I really needed to do. Some people think it's negative. Some people think it's negative to label. I will say this. Say this person has narcissistic traits, or say, I'm still thinking about what I'm going to title this video. Why don't you say, these videos are helpful to me. These channels are helpful to me. So the person you're dealing with might be a narcissist. Say they have the traits. And so I've just been thinking, because I'm inspired by Angie and her children, and Lise Colucci, whose channel I now also put in my featured channels. Angie was already in my featured channels. I have channels, that's what I have the most of in my featured channels, is narcissistic abuse recovery channels, because I have Lisa A. Romano, and she talks a lot about codependency. They don't talk just on one issue, but there's so many of these people with these traits in your life. And I found that when I left Georgia in 2020 and went up to the St. Louis area to buy my RV and then travel around the country, I did want to put that behind me. I wasn't watching Lisa A. Romano as much. I wasn't watching Angie as much. In the beginning, when I was stuck, I had lived with for 30 years. Okay, I was married to this man for 30 years, 32 years if we get technical, but we were separated in 2014, and we lived together in the house for 2 years while we were separated. And I moved out of the house in 2016, and that was the year we were married, 30 years. So I just say 30 years, just to round it off. But yeah, I dealt with this man for 30 years, and I didn't realize he was a narcissist. He can be very nice. I realized he was passive aggressive, manipulative. In fact, my own pastor, when we went to everyone for counseling. He would go. He would rarely do what they say, but to appease me and try to get them to say I was the problem. You know, he would go, and we counseled with almost every pastor at our church. It was a big church. We had like 5 pastors. So my arm and my back have been bothering me, and I went to the chiropractor today. So that is good. And so my pastor suggested the book Living with the Passive Aggressive Man, and I read it because in the Baptist church, they don't want you, to get a divorce, so like for no reason. Like they deny any abuses taking place, especially if it's not physical abuse, it's not abuse. It can be emotional abuse, anything like that, but they don't. And it's like very much for all, just the marriage must be preserved above all else. It doesn't matter how you're being treated, nothing, you have to stay married. That's the rule. That's the rule in the evangelical church. One of the many reasons why I was bitter and walked away from God, but there were many, many reasons. But was all those legalistic rules that aren't in the Bible, because the Bible says, like, Jesus said for sexual immorality you are able to divorce, and they wanted you to even try to work it out if there was infidelity. I mean, it was, and then the person who seeks the divorce, aka me, is the one that's wrong, the one that's bad, because they're seeking to end the marriage. So all that, and it's funny, in a lot of these videos they say the narcissist will play the victim. I think she says that in this one. Play the victim and tell the sob story, and I always laugh when I hear that, because if you change just one letter, it's my ex's name. And he went back to church, and it's like, oh, she doesn't love me anymore. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And a friend from church was like, oh, he's like a sad puppy dog, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And yet when we were at counseling, he humiliated me in front of my therapist and my doctor, my psychiatrist, saying he didn't even desire to be with me in that way. And believe me, when he didn't want that, when I denied that, then it was over. That was why when I first separated from him and he went to the smaller house for a month, and I went to California to visit my dad and my stepmother. That was when I sang in the choir with my dad. That was fun. And so he came back to the big house while I was gone, because we still had a 8th grader, middle schooler. Our youngest was in middle school when we separated. I believe she was in 7th or 8th grade. Something like that, yeah. And so, so he came back to the house while I was gone, and then he wanted to be back, and he wanted us to not be separated anymore. And come back to the house, like with no apologies, nothing, nothing that he did, not, I'm sorry. He just wanted to be back in the bedroom with me. And I was like, no. And that's when and it's called narcissistic injury. They'll all say that. Lisa Romano, Dr. Romani, you don't go to a narcissist and tell them he's a narcissist. They're not going to change. That's not going to help. That's just going to get them mad. And I would never do that. So I found as I left Georgia in 2020 and stopped watching these channels, subtly, lots of these narcissists were entering my life again. And sometimes I'd know right away. Sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I might get too enamored and they were too nice, because they can be very nice, especially if you have something they want, They saw, even more than I saw it in myself. They're like, this is someone who people want to see on my channel. And it's funny that since then, I've had like 2 or 3 different, I'm not saying these people are narcissists, but I've had 2 or 3 different male YouTubers ask me to be on their channel. Yeah. Just, to be on their channel. And then some of them, I just, went on their channel with, when you drop the link and have open panel, and help them out. And the original person, he never would come up on my live. He never did, not once. I wanted him to. The original one I was crushing on. But anyways, and then something I was going to mention. I'm really going out on a limb here. I might get in trouble. Oh well. But something I noticed was a red flag when and my hair got shorter and shorter as I realized, I was separated from my ex. I didn't know if I was going to, because he didn't like my hair. He didn't like my hair short. And it's been like this since 2016, because that's when I realized, because in 2015 I sought to possibly, must have been before I realized he was a covert type narcissist, which are the sneaky type. And then I realized my dad is one too. And that made a whole lot of sense. A whole lot of sense. Yeah, there was thank God my dad wasn't famous. There was another video about Kanye West on the Pascal show, and I was just like, hey, just like my dad, I'm familiar with this. He's bipolar and he's a narcissist. Bad combination. And he thinks he's all that, and he can say whatever he wants. Wow. That's my opinion. No, I'm not a doctor. But I know about narcissists. So one thing I noticed, is men saying stuff about my hair. It's happened a few times, and then later on I realized, yeah, they have a lot of those traits. Because, it's one thing, if you've heard me say, I've said it a couple times that, my hair, I do like it this way. I didn't like it, I had it totally short. I had it totally short like this before, but I didn't like it. Ian said, "Mom, your hair is shorter than mine." And so that's why I grew out this long part. And I like my hair like this. And a lot of people do like my hair like this. But I've had several men comment that, you know, "You're gonna grow your hair out red? You're gonna hair?" And I'm just like, and it's like, no, I like it this way. And then I start to think like you're not even like you're more like even just an acquaintance. Like, I'd say you're a friend, but like, I mean, like, I don't even know you. I mean, it'd be one thing if a romantic interest said, "I would like you, like, I think you look nice with your hair grown out longer," but that would still be a red flag for me. Definitely. It doesn't matter how close a relationship is. Just, why do you think that I need to have my hair the way you want it? And a couple of these men, one of them at least, was married. Like you have no freaking business in saying you want my hair a certain way. Like, I don't even know you. And it's just, it's the audacity, the audacity of these people to think, you know, Dr. Romney's, I think, first book on narcissism was called "Don't You Know Who I Am?" And yeah, so to me, it's a red flag that they might be narcissistic if they're telling me the way I should have my hair. So yeah, just saying. And I'm going to put a bunch of links below, and I'll also ask you to take a look at my featured channels. I'll put some more in the links below because there's a lot of them. And I wanted to mention this Bible verse because there's a verse in Proverbs 11, verse 14. "Where there is no counsel, the people fail, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety." And recently I've been into the Crappy Childhood Fairy, and she talks about CPTSD. And she talks a little bit about narcissism, but she's kind of one to say she doesn't want you to label, because you are, like, you're working on yourself. And all these channels do talk about that too. They don't just talk about like pointing the finger at someone else and saying, "Hey, you're a narcissist." They don't talk about that. So, yeah. They talk about working on you, and that's key, because the narcissists don't change. And Dr. Romney even talks about, should I stay or should I go? Because some of these people, you know, I had that thought in 2015. So what happened in 2015 is, like, he said he didn't love me anymore. He didn't want me. And then here he is talking to the church going, "Oh, she said she doesn't love me anymore." Well, he said he didn't love me anymore. And he said, and he made a condition. He was, "Maybe if you get a job." Well, I didn't get a job. At that point, I had put an application to be a bank teller. Still didn't get that one. And I finally just did the Airbnb in the house, the smaller house that I had moved into. But yeah, he said, "If you get a job," and he said, and I didn't really want to do it, but y'all, I've said this before, it was the hardest thing I ever did. I didn't know how my children were going to react. Just losing contact with my children, that was devastating to me. I didn't even want to live anymore. And so, had I known, I might not have even done it. Because I could have gone on being his servant. He didn't want me to write. He wanted me to go back to school and so I could get a good paying job, like as a nurse or something like that. So, you know, he just had all these, he was, you know, the one in charge. We wouldn't go on vacation. I mean, I wanted to go on a cruise for our 25th wedding anniversary. He really doesn't want to spend the money on that. we went to see my family again, and that's how we got out of that. But that's no replacement for your own getaway as a couple, which is very needed. So, I mean, he wasn't working, you know, it was like me working on the marriage by myself. So I needed to get out of it, but it was very difficult. Very hard thing to do. And I'm also so proud of myself for getting out of Georgia. Stopped doing Airbnb, and the rats had babies in my house. Had to get the rats out of the house, downsize a lot of stuff, sell my house, fit everything I kept, everything I owned in my car. Went up to the St. Louis area, got my RV, traveled around in that for a year. And yeah, it was a good experience. Now I'm in Denver by my younger son. Very glad to be here. But there's so much information out there on YouTube. So like I said, the multitude of counselors. So if you are having a problem with this, check out these channels, listen to some of my videos. I feel like a lot of bullies are narcissists. That's where they feel entitled to bully you. So yeah, all these things go together. I want to help you. I want to help people, you know, through my poetry, through my writing, through my videos. So if you're dealing any of these same issues, drop a comment. Drop a comment. Like and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps my channel out. I'm hoping to be monetized soon. So I guess I covered everything. Thanks for listening. Love you. Pray for Red. Red will pray for you. Bye.